It was a crisp autumn morning when I first noticed a bright orange flag sticking out of my soybean field like a neon warning sign. For a moment, I thought maybe I had missed something, some kind of mistake. Perhaps a contractor, lost and misreading a map, had placed it there by accident. But as I walked closer, my heart sank. No, it wasn't a mistake. There was a whole row of flags, each one marking the land where I grew my crops. My land. And right then, I realized this wasn't an accident. I stood there in the dewy field, the soil cool beneath my boots, staring at these markers like they were taunting me. What were they doing here? Who decided this was okay? I pulled out my phone, the weight of what was happening sinking in. The number on the little tag zip-tied to one of the flags was for a company called Fiberfast Communications. I wasn't even angry, yet just confused, maybe a little stunned. I dialed the number, hoping for some quick explanation that would clear it all up. The woman on the other end sounded bored, like I was the last person she wanted to talk to. "Yeah," she said. "It's probably part of the HOA's infrastructure expansion project. It's been approved already." My heart skipped a beat. HOA? I didn't live in the HOA, not at all. I wasn't part of them. I hung up the phone, still reeling. How could this be happening? I couldn't let it go. I had to go to the HOA headquarters right on the edge of my land. Funny thing was, they didn't know it. They had always assumed that land, the very land they were building on, was theirs. It's a small, brick building behind a black wrought iron fence with a fountain that hadn't worked in years, a sign that read, HOA headquarters members only. I walked in wearing my muddy boots on purpose, letting them know right away where I was coming from. "Can I help you?" The woman at the front desk asked, her hair tight and coiffed, the kind of woman who clearly had never lost an argument, though she should have. "Yeah," I said, my voice steady but sharp. "I'm here to figure out who thought it was okay to dig up my farm." She scanned me up and down, gave me that smile that I've come to recognize in people who think they've already won, and said, "Well, sir, this is HOA jurisdiction. We've had the plans in motion for months. You might want to check your property lines." That's when it hit me. I owned that land, the land the HOA building sat on. But I didn't back down. "I own the land you're sitting on," I said flatly. Her face wiped the smug off it faster than I could blink. But instead of backing off, they doubled down. 2 days later, a notice was duct-taped to my barn. Duct-taped, not mailed. A violation notice claiming that I was obstructing approved utility work. And the best part? An HOA I wasn't even a part of, a group that had no jurisdiction over my land, was fining me due Law 300 for not letting them trench fiber optic cables through my soybeans. I called my lawyer, Dave, and when he answered, I thought he might choke on his coffee. "They're doing what?" he asked, barely able to breathe from laughing. "They realize you own that parcel, right? They're trying to enforce rules outside their own jurisdiction," I said, and I could hear the grin on his face. Dave was the kind of guy who didn't just talk in legal jargon, who wielded it like a weapon. "Let's mess with them," he said. And mess with them we did. But Karen had other plans. She started showing up on my property like she owned the place. She wore a fluorescent vest, like she was some kind of construction supervisor, barking orders at workers. I overheard her tell one of the contractors, "The owner gave us verbal consent." I couldn't help myself. I walked up to her deadpan. "Verbal consent? When did that happen?" She barely glanced at me. "Oh, you weren't clear in your communication," she snapped, her eyes never leaving the work. "I swear to you." She had a laminated badge that just said HOA chairwoman, like it was a golden ticket to do whatever she wanted. But I wasn't backing down. "You're trespassing," I told her. "Oh, we're not," she said, with that infuriating smugness that just makes your blood boil. "We're working for the community." "Community?" I laughed. "The only community you're serving is the one you've made up in your head." And just like that, Karen kicked things into overdrive. She posted an emergency notice on the HOA forum, accusing me of sabotage. "Local landowner endangering community connectivity tie." It said, "May cause outages if he continues hostile behavior or." It felt like I was in some ridiculous spy thriller. Sabotage? Me? I wasn't cutting fiber lines with a tractor. I was just standing my ground. I took a screenshot of her post and sent it to Dave. His reply? Glorious. I couldn't have agreed more. The stakes were low now: flags, fines, the whole circus, but I could feel the tension building. It was only a matter of time before things exploded. Sure enough, 2 days later, I woke up to find a full-blown construction crew on my landauger's flags, a backhoe like they were filming some version of Extreme Makeover, Internet Edition. They were digging, trenching right across my soybeans. And no one had even bothered to talk to me about it. I rolled up on my ATV, fuming. Who authorized this? I demanded. The site manager mumbled something, clearly not thrilled with the situation. The HOA board said it was greenlit. Greenlit by who? I asked, already knowing the answer. Karen, I think, he muttered, too scared to even make eye contact. And there she was, Karen, standing like some deranged general, wearing a VY8 sunglasses and sipping from a bedazzled tumbler that said the boss lady. She was directing the dig, the whole operation, like it was some kind of war zone. Make sure you go at least 5 feet deep, she barked at a contractor, who looked like he was one resignation away from a breakdown. I confronted her, and her response? You're interfering with a community project. This is a crime. A crime? I laughed. You're on my land. You're trespassing. That's a crime. Karen's smile faltered, but she wasn't done. No, she wasn't backing off. She thought she could dig her way to VY Tory. But Karen didn't know what she was digging herself into. What she didn't realize was that years ago, when the original developer built this HOA, I had sold them some land but kept a small sliver for myself. A sliver that just so happened to include the very land the HOA headquarters sat on. I kept it as a little reminder of how much I loved watching the HOA try to push people around. When I realized Karen didn't know where her jurisdiction actually ended, I knew it was time to strike back. I texted Dave. She's digging, I wrote. Already sent the parcel maps, he replied. Let's make some fireworks. That's when I knew we had them. We had everything we needed to shut this down. The court case that followed was nothing short of cinematic. There I was, standing in the back row of the HOA meeting, my arms folded across my chest. Karen was up front, her voice trembling, trying to justify her actions. Due to some recent untruthful claims about land ownership, she started. I'd like to clarify that all actions taken by this board are within our rights. I stood up slowly. Quick question, I said, holding up a stamped parcel map. Can you point out where parcel 34B is? Karen turned pale. The murmur in the room was deafening. I'd just dropped the hammer. By the time the court verdict came down, Karen's reign of terror was officially over. The HOA was ordered to pay damages, and Karen was personally fined. She was also sentenced to 120 hours of community SARE VYC Ando, the irony sent to clean up trash at the local parks. It didn't stop there. Karen tried to stage a comeback, running for a spot on the community mediation board, but the entire town knew who she really was. Her name had become synonymous with scandal, and no one wanted to give her the power to wreak havoc again. In the end, the HOA was forced to pay me rent for using my land underneath their office. And Karen? She was last seen trying to clean up after herself, picking up trash like the very thing she tried to bury her own legacy. As for me, I was finally able to enjoy the peace and quiet of my land once again, with my soybeans thrive VYing, the truth well and truly out. What would you have done in my shoes when Karen tried to bulldoze through your farm? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to hear more about how standing up for your rights can change everything.